Hello dear readers and subscribers. One of the most watched and most sensational topics here on YouTube is that the art world or the art market is a scam designed by the rich to serve the rich. So, is it? As an artist, art historian and art enthusiast in general, one of my main interests here on YouTube is art, and YouTube has identified that very easily. I'm predominantly looking for well-researched and well-presented videos about contemporary art, but almost every day viral videos are being suggested in my feed that are renouncing the art world. So one day I clicked on one which is exactly what they are designed to do, so I think they got me there. In doing so, I stumbled upon this video, one of many. The art market is a scam and rich people run it. A very saucy and click-worthy title proving the match made in heaven that is based on hate towards contemporary art and the rich, and aiming to add some fuel to the fire, concluding the art market and its gatekeepers are a scam. Well, if that really is the case, then why not make a video about it? The latest art market report by UBS and Art Basel shows that in volume, only 2% of all sales by art dealers, art galleries were above 1 million, and the vast majority of all transactions, with 86%, are below 50,000. At auction, this number is 94% of all transactions. So the majority of the art market and the art world has nothing to do with these mind-boggling multi-million-dollar sales by the rich, where the alleged scams occur, and that are being used in these videos to trigger commotion and consternation to make the video go viral. So the video title stating that the entire art market is a scam is of course a first rather blatant generalization. The majority of the contemporary art world are art-loving collectors, small to medium-sized galleries and artists or art enthusiasts in general, normal people who are in it for the art. Because if you're not in it for the art, then it is quite difficult, because even with some money, it is very difficult to make your artistic endeavors lucrative ones. But that's a topic for an entirely different video. Before we discuss the actual problems that they are trying to prove in these videos, the subjectivity of art in relation to its value and influence of the gatekeepers who get to say which art is good and which isn't, allowing them to inflate the economic value of the art to perhaps misuse it. Gatekeeping and the subjectivity of art is a topic that we have dealt with in another video, and it can be really a hot topic to discuss. Everyone is entitled to have an opinion about a certain artwork, and that opinion can be your truth. But is the opinion of a random person with little to no experience and knowledge about art as valuable as the opinion of someone who has been working professionally in art for years and perhaps has studied many years to improve their judgment? This question, implying that some opinions are more valuable about art than opinions of others, is something that might seem as very provocative. It might even upset many. But let's say you're considering to buy a new car. Whose opinion would you value the most in your decision? Person A, who does not own a car, has no interest in cars or in driving at all, and only drives occasionally when they're on a holiday and hire a car. Or person B, the editor of a renowned car magazine who has driven hundreds of cars in their life and drives cars specifically to test them every single day. It is very hard to argue that the opinion of person A is as valuable from this perspective as the opinion of person B. And this is something we accept in many subjective fields. Think of in music, in film, what is a good film, but also in fashion, etc. However, accepting this when it comes to art causes a lot of outrage. Talking about these other subjective industries, another aspect that is often forgotten in art is the power of the people. If a song, film or clothing style is being picked up by the people because they like it, there is a sign that something to it appeals to people, that there is something good in it. And in art we see this all the time. Some works sell themselves, not because a curator or gallery is saying you should buy it, but because we fall in love with it. Because they excite us, have something fresh and new to them, and intrigue us. In fact, when this is the case, the career of the artist will continue to grow based on the opinion of people and not from gatekeepers. And the gatekeepers will pick up on it, and not vice versa. Still, the one-liner we see in all these sensational videos is that all the power lies with the gatekeepers, making people think that the art does not matter, and that it's all about who you know. As we have discussed in our videos with industry-approved career advice for artists, yes, the network is very important, but it always comes second to art. This might sound as a shocking surprise after hearing numerous oversimplifications and these sensational statements in these viral videos, providing skewed interpretations over one-off examples to prove their biased point. For instance, in the video in question, they use Roy Lichtenstein as an example, stating that Leo Castelli, a leading New York art dealer, made Lichtenstein famous overnight in 1962 because of his power as a gatekeeper. In reality, the build-up towards this sold-out show at Castelli Gallery was a lot more gradual than the video suggests. Yet, Castelli made Lichtenstein is the overly simple statement they make to prove the power of gatekeepers in relation to the value of art, as Lichtenstein would become one of the most expensive artists at auction years later.
So, for all intents and purposes, Castelli made Lichtenstein.
What they seemingly intentionally forget to mention throughout this argument is that Lichtenstein's work in the 1960s was pioneering what would be one of the most important art movements of the second half of the 20th century, trailblazing pop art and being one of the most relevant bodies of work in their time, questioning consumer culture and merging popular culture with high-end art. This particular aspect that the video happens to ignore completely is exactly why Leo Castelli decided to work with Roy Lichtenstein, and is exactly why it is so valuable so many years down the line, because it proved to be iconic and of great historical value.
Lichtenstein, Andy Warhol, Oldenburg, Rosenquist. The word pop art, the definition of it, did not exist. It was just isolated artists that interested me because they came in the wake of what I had done in the previous years, namely finding Jasper Johns, Rauschenberg, Twombly. So this to me seemed a continuation of that development.
In other words, the economic value of the art was determined by its artistic value, and not only because of the judgment of a gatekeeper. The exact same video precedes the argument of art not having any intrinsic value, using the extraordinary example of Leonardo da Vinci's Salvator Mundi, and how it was overlooked and valued for just a few dollars and only became valuable after experts have proven it to be the original Salvator Mundi by the hand of da Vinci himself, one of the most copied portraits across the globe. Yes, the painting is exactly the same, but of course the context when it comes to the historic value and authenticity of the work is of course vastly different and very relevant. If we would copy Lichtenstein's style today, it would not have had the same historical relevance as Lichtenstein's works did in the 60s. And if this Salvator Mundi was one of the many 19th century copies, then it would also not have the same value as it turned out to have. Historical value and authenticity can be very tricky concepts, and they can very easily be misused to prove a biased point. If today I create a light bulb, that wouldn't be too big a deal. But when Joseph Swan or Thomas Edison did it by the end of the 19th century, it was a big deal, because that novelty and ingenious invention changed the course of the world. If I have a ring, it is just a piece of metal. But if you have that ring that was being gifted by your late grandmother, its authenticity will mean more to you than just the metal alone. So if you would lose it, a reproduction of that ring will not have the same value to you. We value authenticity and historical importance strongly, and so does art and the art market. So if anything, if you aim to understand the mechanisms of the art market, one must also understand the mechanisms of art. So fast forward, what are the actual scams that these videos are talking about? First, there is money laundering, and then there is also using art to reduce your taxes. Money laundering is perhaps the most pressing issue here, and it operates in the exact same way as money laundering with, for instance, real estate. They use art to make dirty money clean money via multiple transactions and shell companies so that they cannot retrace where the original money came from, and selling it to someone with clean money. But this is something that kind of operates outside of the art world, and it is also something that happens in many other industries, for instance in real estate, but that does not mean that the entire real estate industry is a scam, does it? It is not an art market system, but it is a widely spread criminal system. And art happens to be very convenient for them to use. The more controversial point is when it comes to donating art, which these videos make it seem as if it is a construct to serve the rich and to avoid taxes. If you donate a work of art valued at $10 million, you get a tax write-off on $10 million of your income, which could save you $4 million. This is called a charitable donation reduction and is also applicable to donating to other causes. But in this case, you're not donating money, but an artwork that is valued at a certain amount of money. So if the valuation is incorrect, you might get a bigger tax write-off than you deserve. And this is exactly why these videos state the entire art market is a scam. The solution the IRS provides is of course demanding an appraisal, a professional appraisal, to have the best possible valuation of the artwork that is being donated. And in all honesty, that's all one can do. But these videos state that it is very easily to manipulate these appraisals due to the subjective value of art that we have just discussed. But is that really the case? Following the example of the video in question, if a rich person buys a painting at $4 million and let it appreciate over a few years and shop around for a favorable appraisal to overstate its value and donate it as a work of art to a museum as a $10 million artwork, they can already break even with a $4 million tax write-off. But can you imagine risking $4 million and perhaps being caught in the process by the IRS simply to break even? Even more, letting your art appreciate or finding a favorable appraisal to have a 150% increase is not easy at all. Other videos will even go a step further and make up their own numbers. For instance, this viral video says that you can buy art for $10,000 hire a publicist for $100,000, organize some gallery events for $80,000, and buy a favorable appraisal for $75,000. And these $255,000 investments will make the $10,000 artwork worth $10 million. As if it is that easy in the scam called the art markets. Of course, these numbers are entirely made up. They are based on nothing but the goal to provoke you and to polarize for the sake of views and clicks. If the art would have no artistic value at all for the art market, then with $250,000 you won't be able to get that price from $10,000 to $50,000. Yes, gatekeepers, money and networks do play a part and can be a catalyst for the success of an artist. But it is clear to say that in reality the truth is a lot more nuanced than the sensational videos from non-art channels make it look, as they are primarily based on assumptions, accusations and conspiracy theories. And if you would like to know more about the power of art critics, but also how money can manipulate the career of an artist or the art market, then please let me know in the comments below and I'll happily create a nuanced video about this topic for you. It is very likely that this particular video won't go viral, which is rather telling for today's media landscape. When it comes to the distribution of information, fake news and false promises seem to lead to success, which is exactly the reason why these sensational videos are being so successful. They are designed to generate views, because views result in money and money is winning from the truth. I'm very troubled by this polarizing discourse when it comes to art and the art market. It really saddens me to read in the YouTube comments how public opinion is being convinced further of these misconceptions when it comes to art and the art world that make them lose interest in art or will prevent them from becoming a successful artist. And even more, how others opportunistically capitalize on feeding this public frustration. As a result, it is my mission with CAI and especially with this YouTube channel to communicate art world information as transparently, accessibly and as truthfully as possible. And if that is what you're looking for, feel free to subscribe and to stay tuned for more videos. I would like to invite all artists watching this video to have a look at our resources page at contemporaryartissue.com/advice for artists, where I have bundled all informative and educational videos about the art world for artists. Thank you so much for tuning in today. Feel free to watch last week's video discussing the most important portrait painters today next. Support us on Patreon and please consider subscribing to stay posted for more contemporary art. Bye.